Hey guys, it's Mr. C with your Saxon Math today. We're doing lesson 91, and this is geometric formulas. Today we're going to use formulas to calculate both the perimeter and area of squares, rectangles, parallelograms, triangles. Now we've done all of these things before. This is a review lesson, but it's mostly because we want to remember formulas. This is one of those things where you just need to remember certain kinds of formulas, and today we're going to practice, do a lot of problems, to solve for perimeter, to solve for area, just so we can get those perimeters in our head. Now, before we start, let's review what some of those formulas are. First, let's look at our abbreviations. We find the area of a rectangle by multiplying the length and the width. So area equals length times width. Remember, when you're using letters and a combination of letters and numbers, you don't have to write the multiplication symbol. You don't even have to put it in parentheses, although you could do that. So you could have area equals length times width. You could write it that way, or you could do L times W, but they're just doing LW. All of those things mean multiply, all right? So that's our area for a rectangle. That would also apply to a square, which is a kind of rectangle, all right? Let's look at some of our other formulas. If we're looking at perimeter, a square is just going to be 4 sides. So perimeter, big P, equals 4 sides. On a rectangle, we'll do 2 of the length and 2 of the width, because in a rectangle, we've got 2 of these and 2 of these. 2 length, 2 width. Now, parallelogram's a little different because it's not straight or right angles. So they, instead of calling it length and width, they call it base. This is the base. And then the sides. So it's still your 4 for your perimeter, it's just going all the way around. And then a triangle, you've just got 3 sides, right? But they're not necessarily going to be equal. So you just have side 1, side 2, side 3. Those are your perimeters. Those ones are pretty easy. We've done that for a while. In fact, you've been doing a lot of these formulas since 2nd and 3rd grade on perimeter. And so you've had a lot of practice with that. What we haven't had as much practice is with area. Now with square, area is pretty simple. It's just side squared, right? Because remember, you take one side and you're just going to multiply one side times the length times the width. Remember, we just did that. Area equals length times width. But on a square, they're all exactly the same, so you can just square it. If you don't want to remember it that way, you can still just do length times width, because a square is a type of rectangle, and that's our formula for rectangle. So if a square is 3 centimeters in length, for example, we could just we know they're all the same, so 3 times 3, which is 9, that would be the same as a rectangle, the length times the width. Remember when you do that, though, to also multiply the unit of measurement. So centimeter times centimeter is not centimeter, it's centimeter squared, or squared centimeter. Okay? Then in a parallelogram, it's a little different. Here we're going base times height. And remember, if we have a parallelogram like we had before, where it's like that, it's not base times side. Sometimes we just get used to doing that. This is one of the ones you have to really intentionally remember. It's base times height, and so you're going to have to draw your own height. And at this stage in the game, they're going to tell you what the height is. So if this is 5, they're going to say this is 4 or something like that. And they'll tell you in the book. In the future, when we get further along into geometry, you're actually going to have to calculate what the height is. You don't have to do that right now, but that's something that we'll do in the future. Okay? And then a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. So if we have a triangle like this, we're going to take the base, let's call this 4, and we'll take the height, and again we'll have a dotted line, and let's say that this is 3. So we'll take 4 times 3, which is 12, and then divide that by 2, or times it by 1/2. So if we divide that by 2, that gives us 6 for our area, whatever the unit is. Let's say it's centimeters, so it'd be centimeters squared. So that's how you do triangles. Again, today we're really just going to focus on memorizing those formulas. 1/2 base times height for triangle. In the future, you'll also learn how to calculate what that height is on triangles, just like we would for parallelograms. All right, so here we're looking at our square. P and A are abbreviations for perimeter and area. So here we have a square with 4 sides, a rectangle with a length and a width, a parallelogram with a base and a height, and look, they made it, theirs even fancier than mine, and a triangle with a base times the height. All right, since squares and rectangles are also parallelograms, the formulas for perimeter and area of parallelograms can be used for squares and rectangles. And to use a formula, we substitute each known measure in place of the appropriate letter. So let's go ahead and start doing this. Write a formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. Remember, rectangles are, you've got 4 sides, but they're not necessarily squares, so you have to look at length and width. So perimeter equals 2 lengths plus 2 widths. Then we want to substitute 8 centimeters for the length. So we do 2 times 8 centimeters plus 5 centimeters for the width. 2 times 5 centimeters. Now remember, we need to do anything in the parentheses first, because our order of operations is parentheses, exponent, then our multiplication, division, then our addition, subtraction. There's nothing to do in these, so we can just multiply the 2 times 8 and get 16 centimeters. Here we do 2 times 5 to get 10 centimeters. Now that we've done our multiplication, we can do our addition. 16 plus 10 is 26 centimeters. Now this isn't centimeters squared because we're just adding them together. We're not multiplying them together. Okay? So 26 centimeters. And here they show, again, the formula for perimeter is 2L plus 2W. And then they wrote it the same way I did and got 16 centimeters plus 10, which gives you 26 centimeters. All right, so we're in good shape so far. I think that's it for today. They're just summarizing how to show our work, and that's it. So you're going to do a bunch of problems in your book or on your quiz where you'll go through using these different formulas. It's great practice because you'll use these a lot in the future in calculating different things for geometry. All right, good luck. Bye.